When parenting gets hard, it helps to share experiences. I do it all the time, especially on Facebook. My next guest has sent 2 kids off to middle school, and she's sharing what she's learned. Think of it as a kind of a mom's guide here to helping your child get into middle school and make the experience just a little bit easier on everyone. Deseret News columnist Brooke Romney is here. I'm very excited. I loved this article. I literally highlighted every page going through it because I think it can apply not only to middle school, but lots of different ages. So first of all, why this topic?
Well, I sent my second son to middle school, and I feel like after having one go through it, I feel like I'm a little bit better prepared, and I wanted moms out there to understand some of the things I've learned, and mostly that it's just gonna be okay. It's really going to be okay.
You had a little part in here that you talked about. They probably use the most of their energy just trying to keep their heads above water. Know this and let them open up about what they are seeing, feeling, and hearing. Talk a little bit about that. That seems like it could be a very challenging age to do that.
It is a little bit challenging, or a lot of bit challenging. It depends on your kid. In all honesty, it depends on your kid. We go from elementary school, where everything is easy and happy, and all of a sudden they go into middle school, and they're seeing things in the halls, in the locker rooms, and not only that, but learning about real world events. And this can be a little bit overwhelming to them, and we need to acknowledge that things are changing, they're growing up. It doesn't do any good to pretend like they don't know about it or they haven't heard about it.
Right.
And we need to be open and honest and help them learn how to navigate it with the morals and the values that they've learned since they were little too.
I can imagine the things that my first grader is coming home with already. I don't know, I don't have the answers to, but I can imagine middle school and some of the things they're coming home with and knowing and learning about. Let's talk a little bit about how this is such a big change for parents too. That's a difficult age.
Well, the biggest difference that I found is we go from elementary school where parents are navigating it for their children for the most part. You know, we get letters home from teachers, we plan play dates, we enroll our kids in classes, and all of a sudden, you know, the kids go to 7th grade and they're in charge. And to be honest, the parents are supposed to take a step back. That's what this time,
it
is so hard. But it's what this time is for. We want to let them have some experiences, to make some mistakes, to do things a little differently, see what works for them when there is still a safety net right there for a little while. And to be honest, when parents swoop in, a lot of times at this age, it backfires, and it's not usually good for your child.
Okay, so give us some ideas, some advice. How do we navigate this?
Well, there's a couple things. The first thing is when things get hard, a lot of kids want to pull back. They want to not try because for the first time, maybe they're realizing, well, I'm not as good, or I'm not as pretty, or I'm not as smart, or I'm not as talented. And so it makes them want to pull back. And so what we need to do as parents is to keep some expectations there, to acknowledge that it's hard, to acknowledge that it's not fun, but to keep those expectations for our children. And then, you know, something really important that I wanted to address is that if it seems like it's too much for you or you're not handling them okay, it's time to reach out. Find a school counselor, find a professional counselor, find a friend, find another adult in their life that you can turn to. But, you know, mental health is really important in middle school. And talking to our school counselor, almost every child is struggling at this point. And so be okay to find someone that can help your child navigate if it's something you feel like is out of your reach at the moment. Don't be afraid to do that.
Do you have to adjust your expectations in a sense to what? I don't even know, because I'm still in the elementary phase and I'm adjusting to that.
Well, one of the things that I think is difficult is you have to adjust expectations. You have to be okay to adjust your sails a little bit, but you also have to be okay with the parent you decided to be. So for example,
so stick to your guns.
With my kids, you're gonna look left in elementary school and you're gonna see somebody, or in middle school, and you're gonna see somebody letting their kid do all these things and their kid's doing so well with having all of this freedom. And your kid's complaining and they're like, oh, so-and-so gets to do this. And then you're gonna look right and you're gonna see somebody who is super strict and there's all these rules and there's all these expectations. And as a mom, as a parent, you're gonna think, well, what's right? What am I doing? Am I right? Am I not right? And what's really important is to stop comparing and to parent the way you know is right for your child. And you can adjust and you will have to adjust. but be okay knowing that, that family does it this way, this family does it that way. I liken it kind of to when you have a toddler, you're going through things for the first time and you're like, what am I doing? And
All
it's
the
the same
time.
thing. It's the same thing.
I loved your words here. They might hate you in the moment, but they will thank you later, I promise. I think that is something you need to remember. You still have to be the parent. You still have to make some hard choices, but in the end, they may come back to thank you for guiding them in that direction. Okay, tell me just a little bit more about where people can find your amazing words of advice. And I mean, this really was a great article. Again, you need to go read it.
Thank you. So I'm on Instagram at Brooke Romney Writes, and same thing on Facebook, or my blog is brookeromney.com. And just one last thing,
Yes.
I just want parents to know that their kid's okay, they're okay, it's all gonna work out. It's gonna be okay.
And one other thing you also said, celebrate their accomplishments.
Yes.
When they do something good, celebrate it.
And when you have a good time with them, love it.
That's
They're gonna
great.
grow up and it's gonna be a beautiful thing, I promise.
So as hard as it is, just celebrate the good moments. Brooke, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Great
Shara.
advice. Go read her article. I will be highlighting it and reading it every night.